Hello, my name is Gary Goodworth. I am the webmaster of AnUnseenWorld.com. And today I want to talk about Noah's Ark because recently I saw a YouTube video made by Rick Renner Ministries showing pictures of the Ark buried in on Mount Judi in the region of Mount Ararat Mountains. And they confirmed that that's actually Noah's Ark. So the question is, why isn't this all over the news media? Why is this being ignored? And we're just going to talk about Noah's Ark today and the different viewpoints on it. But before we get into that, let's read the story of Noah's Ark and why God destroyed the world with a flood. In Genesis chapter 6, we're beginning with verse 1. Now, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God, which my understanding these are fallen angels, a specific group of them, saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took as wives whomever they chose. So the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. That's the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, giants. And afterward, after the flood as well, when sons of God had relations with the daughters of men. And they bore them children who became the mighty men of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great upon the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was altogether evil all the time. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the earth, every man and beast and crawling creature and bird of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. Noah, however, found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. I believe he was not corrupted by the union of the fallen angels and the daughters of men. Blameless in his generation, Noah walked with God, and Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which means that family, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, we are descendants of one of those three sons. Now the earth was corrupt in the sight of God and full of violence, and God looked upon the earth and saw that it was corrupt. For all living creatures on the earth had corrupted ways, not just man, but all living creatures had corrupted the way. That union between the sons of God and daughters of men produced a literal hell on earth. Then God said to Noah, The end of all living creatures has come before me, because through them the earth is full of violence. Now behold, I will destroy both them and the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and coat it with pitch inside and out, making it waterproof. And this is how you're to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. You are to make a roof for the ark, finish its walls a cubit from the top, place a door on the side of the ark, and build lower, middle, and upper decks. A cubit is about 1.6 feet, if you want to do the math. And behold, I will bring floodwaters upon the earth to destroy every creature under the heavens that is breath of life. Everything on the earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. And you're to bring 2 of every living creature into the ark, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird and animal and crawling creature will come to you to be kept alive. You're also to take for yourself every kind of food that is eaten and gather its food for yourselves and for the animals. So Noah did precisely as God commanded him. In this picture, you see the Noah's Ark Museum located in northern Kentucky. This museum that museum is built to the precise measurements of the ark as it was that I just read to you out of the Bible. They recreated Noah's Ark, and it's a very popular tourist attraction. I have family members and friends who have been there. I haven't been there myself personally, but that's one place I would like to visit. I did a Google search. See, a lot of people don't think the story of Noah's Ark is an actual event. They think it's just a tale to get us to live a more godly lifestyle. See, on this page, it shows, I put in, what is the view on the veracity or the validity of the story of Noah's Ark? And you get different results. You know, the ark, could Noah's tale be true? And here you get one debunking the myth. You see, some view Noah's Ark as a myth and not an actual event. But Jesus said concerning his second coming, as the days of Noah were, so the coming of the Son of Man be. Jesus believed something happened in Noah's day. I mean, he should. He's God. He's the one that sent the flood. And so I just said there's different opinions and different viewpoints on, did the story of Noah really happen, or is it just a myth? I personally believe it really happened, but if we had proof there was a Noah's Ark, wouldn't that seal the deal? And we do. What you're looking at here is a picture of Noah's Ark buried on Mount Judi in Kurdistan, what used to be known as Kurdistan, in the mountain range, in the Ararat mountain range. It's not on Mount Ararat itself, but it's on one of the mountains in that range, and here is a picture of it. I know Rick Renner Ministries, excuse me, I didn't mean to do that. Rick Renner Ministries went there, they measured that, and it has all the same measurements as the Ark. And here's Kurdistan on a map, and you can see, there's Turkey, and Ararat's over here in this area. And we'll click here. Here's a blowed up picture. The front of the Ark, showing the front here, and the rear here. I think that's like 500 feet. And I read a while ago the story that it was 300 cubits long. That's 492 feet. So if the front to back is 500 feet, and that's allowing for an extra footage just for the Ark you being buried there. And that shows that there's actual rib tenders here. They've used radar scans to see how deep, and that it matches the exact measurements of the Ark as it was in the story of Noah in the Bible. So here we have evidence. Even the odd thing is the Quran tells us that the Ark is buried on Mount Judi. So why is the media totally ignoring this? Because, if you went here and you found physical evidence of the Ark, then that would prove the veracity of the Bible. And the media doesn't want to do that. I mean, they promote things that are not biblical, like evolution. They discount creation and promote evolution, which is a lie. And putting this on the news, that would just reinforce the biblical account and just put another nail in the coffin of the evolution account. Here's another picture. This is Jebel Judi, mountain of Noah's descent. And here's this Noah's Ark here again. And that says 515 feet. But there's got to be a little extra footage there for the buried, just for it to be buried. Because I figured out 300 cubic foot long is about 492 foot, but being buried under a landslide of mud, that would add a few extra feet to it. And here's another picture of the ark on the Mount Judi, as you can see. And we'll show you another picture here. Mount Ararat. This is over here in the eastern side of Turkey. And, Syria is down here. So just wanted to say I believe they found the remains, the actual remains of Noah's Ark. But the news is not going to jump on this. And 100 years ago, they would have been all over it, but not anymore because the news is more, they don't want to appear religious in any way. They want to be secular, not offend anybody. They sure don't want that evolution theory exposed for the falsehood it is. I just wanted to give you a heads up that Noah's Ark here, that seems to be the remains of Noah's Ark, which should match the exact replica here. This is the replica in Kentucky. And this image here is just a cool painting of Noah and Ark and the rain. And, they didn't believe Noah at the time. God gave him 120 years to build an ark. And he probably gave Noah the skills to do it and the wisdom to do that, because even if I knew what to do, I don't think I could build an ark. I don't have the carpenter skills to do that. But he did, and he spent 120 years building an ark, and he's probably laughing at him and mocking him. Why are you building a boat for? It's never, what's this rain you were talking about? Rain, we've never seen rain before. See, that in that area of the world at that time, rain didn't happen. Though water came in form of dew mostly. And that's how plants were watered. But when after the flood, something changed in our atmosphere, and the lifespan of men became much shorter. Pre-flood days, people lived for hundreds of years. After the flood, nobody lives hundreds of years. But today, the oldest people you can find are just over 100 years old, and they can barely get around. So the flood changed something in the atmosphere. We have physical evidence right here that there was an actual Noah's Ark in this country called Kurdistan. There's another picture, another picture. So I always believe the Noah's Ark story is a real story. There were real fallen angels, there were giants, and all kinds of weird stuff going on. It's a very interesting story. There's some really good books on that. Rick Renner wrote one recently, Fallen Angels, Giants, and something else in the title. I haven't read it, but it looked very interesting. So I recommend you research this a little bit more if you're interested. Certainly interests me, because this just proves the validity and veracity of the Bible. I've never doubted that the Bible is true. Well, I have in the past, but since I became a born again believer, I haven't. And thank you for being with me today. I'll get back to the seal judgments in my next video. Have a good day. God bless.